welcome to X Goat Run episode 4. So this is the straight run here that was the goat pen, and it goes way back that way to a fence, and it turns in like an L shape to the left. So we're going to talk about making plans for this a little bit more. And it's dark outside again, so I'm not going to be outside showing anything fancy here, but I'm going to just kind of show you a little diagram or whatever that I made, just a little mock-up to talk about kind of the first ideas, where things can go and stuff like that. So I made a diagram in paint, and it's probably not 100% accurate to scale or whatever. So we have the west side on top, east side on the bottom, north. So our east side will be probably our main entrance, unless we do an east and a north entrance. Then the south is where the existing fence line is still there, which we'll probably take down, I should say, later. So as you can see, now I expanded this a little bit further into this area. We're not going to really talk too much about this area here. So we'll start at the east entryway here. So this is the shadiest area. There's some oaks and all, like an oak tree here, and box elders and a few things like that over here. So it's got a lot of shade, and it's pretty wet here. And this about 40-foot-ish area around here where the mouse is where the goats usually ate. All the hay was there, their food, water, they peed there, they pooped, and created kind of a mound, somewhere over there, I should say, like that. Oops, I just messed it up. So some of that we'll keep there, and we'll plant maybe some taro, malanga, edu, and taro and malanga is sometimes interchangeably used, and sometimes they're used as separate plants. But just those type of plants is what I'm thinking there. And I'm thinking asparagus on slightly raised compost there. And I really want to try comfrey, and a lot of people say put it in shade where, like under an oak tree. So somewhere around there might be a good place to try comfrey, if not all around here, because it's all shady. Some of the other things I have listed for this potential area: royal fern, which is produces an edible, it's edible when the shoots are really young. Yupon holly, which is a caffeinated holly that's you can make teas with. A spice bush, and they come in male or female varieties, and you usually got to get 3 of them to try to make sure you have males and females. Yerba mate, another tea. Also talked about asparagus already. Red aronia is like I think it's closely related to like apples and stuff like that. It's not really edible for people. I mean, I guess it's closely related to the black aronia, which people make jams and stuff with. But it's possible you could use it for like salsas and stuff like that. But it's a really small bush and kind of cool. It has some little like flowers that resemble kind of like apples and stuff, mayhaws. So swamp mallow, another hibiscus, is listed. So pretty, hibiscus leaves are edible by reptiles and, you know, herbivore, you know, and omnivore livestock and stuff. So should, you know, chickens, iguanas, tortoises, you know, and I guess people eat them in a little bit too. Khaki persimmons. I got a question mark there. That's probably because there's only a couple more khaki or Japanese persimmons that I would really like, and otherwise I have quite a bit of, you know, quite a variety. And how many more Japanese persimmons do I need? So that's the question. I go up a little ways. So this is where it starts to get more full sun here in this area. And I have a lot of tree trunks, limbs, and all that I could make like hugelkulture or raised beds here. And for annual gardens or whatever to plant, you know, plant starts. What I don't have listed is you probably need like at least 2 walkways cleared out and at least one path where I can get like a wheelbarrow and lawnmower and stuff in from this entrance here. If not from this entrance too. But yeah, the hugelkulture bed would kind of go up here into the sunny area, and maypop, which is passion flower, either here or both places. And I said blueberries here, and I just pointed over here, but just kind of anywhere that they fit in this whole area. Citrus, there aren't any specific cultivars or types that I want to plant here. You know, I think trifoliate orange, just because it's a rootstock plant that's cold hardy and is capable of producing seedlings, and just a variety of seedlings or whatever. So I think a patch of citrus here, just kind of unorganized. Well, I guess we'll do some pictures as well to make this not just a boring talk video, but have some nice pictures. This is red aronia blooming. Look how pretty them are, the pink and the white. And these are aronia berries that aren't quite mature. They seem to get like not a lot of pollination here, and I believe it's because all of the ones growing in my area are actually from root suckers, so they're the same genetic plant. So we definitely need to get some more genetic different plant material to help pollinate and create berries and stuff like that. So here we are back at the diagram. We were talking about citrus and blueberries and stuff being planted, just miscellaneous citrus and stuff. So over here on the north side, I'm thinking just a slight mound here, maybe peat moss and compost amended for some camellia tea trees, tea shrubs, whatever you want to call them. I have a tea plant that's probably 15 years old, and it's no more than like 5 foot high, so hard to call it a tree. So a lot of people said bananas, you know, try again. I do not think that I have a perfect spot for bananas no matter what, because people say try to protect it from the north winds, give it maximum like south sun. This is the sunny area here that I've kind of chosen in this diagram for bananas. It'll have limited, if any, northern, you know, wind blocking. I mean, there might be a few little trees here. Over time, citrus and other plants will probably grow up and give it a little bit of wind protection. But when I grew my bananas elsewhere, they were in some shade, so that makes them bloom later and ripen later, you know, during a potential freeze event, or, you know, they freeze before they ripen usually. So putting them in the full sun, you know, making a pretty big mound, I think, compost mound. That's the idea I have there, and hoping they don't like blow over. And also, I wrote, you know, annually planted papaya trees, and I've had papayas survive 3, 4, 5 years sometimes, and then other ones die, you know, a year after you plant them, you know, freeze or something, get some, then, you know, randomly one comes back from the freezes for years. So again, full sun might help them ripen before a freeze takes them out. And I'm not going to go out and buy a $40 or $50 cultivar papaya. I'm going to buy fruit papaya from the grocery store, which have like hundreds of seeds in them, and just plant, you know, from like 2 or 3 fruits every year and see what happens. These were a harvest of papayas that just didn't quite get ripe, but they were pretty big, as you can see. Really nice green papayas, and some people use them green for certain things. I had one that did get ripe, so a lot of people do grow papayas here in the area, and that's, you know, it's probably, there's no guarantee you'll get like yearly success unless you do like cover them during the hard freezes, but it's going to be something that I think will work based on the small financial investment each year put into it. You know, if every other year we get a good harvest, or every 3 years we get a big harvest or whatever, that's fine. And if not, if we could get green papayas and, you know, donate them to, you know, some Latina people, you know, that might use them, that's fine too. Bananas, we had one good harvest of bananas out of like 30 years, and I think this was 2017 or 2019. I'd have to look it up again. Huge bananas, kind of short, like 4 or 5 times the width or the roundness, almost a pound a piece. So one banana would fill you up. So, and that was in a not so ideal, you know, location as far as being in shade and not full sun. And there were so many close calls, I'd say, where, you know, they were starting to get big and green, just needed another month or so or 2 to ripen. And then we got freezes on so many occasions, and they were just never ripened. But a lot of people around the area grow them. Some people have success with getting them to ripeness. So it's definitely, you know, if people are saying this is what you need to plant in this area, maybe we can have some more successes like this over time. So we're going to scroll up here a little bit, and in this kind of sunny area with a couple little trees and stuff around here, I'm thinking of doing sugar cane. You know, it's sunny and it's moist, and if it's too moist, I could, you know, mound it a little bit with some good amendments, soil amendments. And I've had it come back every year. There have been some that, you know, hadn't made it and did not come back after freezes, but there's still some coming back right now, so in my raised bed. So hopefully we have the plant material to put sugarcane up here, and then American persimmons. And I said persimmons, not persimmon. So you usually need a male and a female when you have American persimmons. They're a really large tree, so they like wet, you know, wet areas in general. So this will be a perfect spot, hopefully, for 2 American persimmon trees. And as they grow, I put my notes here. Annual gardening, short-lived fruit trees could be used in this area before American persimmons reach big sizes. So all around, and could put, short-lived fruit trees and shrubs and annual gardens, or around it, and hope for the best. And as the tree grows and gets big, then it might not allow for that kind of stuff, but if it gives us 15 years of gardening around it. And I'm not sure exactly how fast American persimmons actually grow, but that's an idea. Kind of a last minute thing. I said, let's put maybe a flatwoods plum over here. They kind of like moist areas, and supposedly they like afternoon shade. So all of this area is really shaded. Some of this area is shaded here and here. So the west and part of the north side is shaded, but should get pretty good sun, on the east side and the south side. Oops. Can't hold the phone very well. Okay, so this is unplanned, unused for now. Too shady, too many tree roots. So this is a little lot, and there was like a chicken coop back here, and I used to raise khaki Campbell and Muscovy ducks and all kinds of stuff, and I would put them in there at nighttime and then open the door every morning and let them out, and they would come run through here and through the fields and splash in the mud if there was like a flood, and go eat and forage. You just run out there happy as can be. So this is kind of the ill portion right here. I've got a large elderberry here already, a male elderberry, which for now I'm keeping. I don't know why, but I'm thinking maybe passion flower here, maypop, or another type of edible. It says lots of sun here, some shade on north and west sides. So over here, somewhere around here, a pecan or chestnut tree. Now, what's interesting is about right here, I had a chestnut tree for a few years. It just didn't like the wet feet. Pecan trees, however, supposedly like wet feet, or at least but full sun. So I had, I think, a pecan tree in here, or maybe had two here, I don't remember. Right here it was so shady, and the roots were, of all the other trees, probably just wouldn't allow it to do anything. Over here we may not have that big of a problem. A pecan tree might do really well right there. Over time they get big, they take forever to grow. And a chestnut tree, if we mounded it higher, like a really high mound, maybe that would be a good spot for a chestnut tree, for like a Chinese or something. This is one of my hybrid chestnut trees, the only one that survived. When it's given all this fresh new growth in the spring, it looks good, but it's not really happy. It's not really doing well, and it's in a wet area with some shade and sweet gum roots everywhere. So it could be used for grafting purposes, for seedling Chinese chestnuts or something, as a pollinator tree. But the other one, I bought two at the same time. The other one was in the area that I talked about planting in, and it died after a few years, and it got to about like 14 feet. And as you can see, when it was happy, it was blooming. Now it pretty much doesn't bloom. It's just unhappy, and the roots just aren't happy. We're gonna try to up the game with fertilizer and stuff on the one that survived, and maybe like build the soil up, and hopefully it kind of layers and roots up higher. But we have to consider that it may never actually do well in that area, when pecans just may. Also said more khaki persimmons over here or over there, possibility. As I stated before, you know, how many khaki persimmons do you really need? So are we just getting stuff to fill the area, you know, or can some of these things be something that we're going to use, or are we going to have too much of? And notes here say parsley haw somewhere, maybe wax myrtle. So parsley hawthorn, and you know, everybody is telling me plant mayhaws, and I have mayhaws elsewhere. We have a disease called rust, like a cedar apple rust or something, that really affects the fruit, and you know, I really don't want to spray much. So I have 4 genetically different mayhaws already. I could either buy another one, you know, a nice one, or take a root sucker, which I've done before, you know, propagate it with root suckers and move one somewhere over here. But as I said, I really do not know what use there'll be if I'm not spraying to try to control the rust disease. This is what a mayhaw infected with rust looks like. Nasty looking, ain't it? And if like a half or 3/4 of your berries look like that, that's not good. This is what your berries are supposed to look like, your mayhaw berries. This is from my mayhaw tree. This is what a mayhaw bloom looks like. Again, very similar to like apples and stuff. They're closely related. Other than that, people have been saying plant pawpaws. I do have a small one, a root sucker I planted around here somewhere, which may or may not survive. But I think it's a good idea to, you know, just plant a few pawpaws around. I'm not a super huge fan of putting more in shady areas. I'm wanting to try to initiate moving closer to full sun, and this is outside of that area where I say future pawpaws in this area. There's a big mulberry tree, and it's pretty big, so the branches overhang like this area here. I mean, this outside area here is still sunny. So in one of my videos I talk about like putting like 3 or 4 there in the shade and slowly clipping those mulberry limbs back, you know, each year to give them pawpaws more sun, until we may just, you know, either clip one side of the mulberry tree off, or just, you know, get rid of the mulberry tree and replace it with something else and have full sun there for a long time. What I also don't talk about is there are elderberries here, elderberries here, elderberries all over here. There's potentially probably 1,000 elderberry plants all over my property, but you know, they are not all genetically different because they spread through root suckers. There may only be 20 or 30 or 50, you know, genetically different seedlings and named cultivars, but there are root suckers everywhere, and so we really do not need more unless we get an improved cultivar or something that is better than all that we already have. So we could always whack some of them down and replace. But yeah, I've kind of already talked about like plants that are already here. But should I do like some native blueberries again that did not thrive in other places? Maybe they will thrive here. And there are several like native ones. Some of them do not like wet feet at all, like sparkleberry and all, so I wouldn't put them there, but some other ones might like, or might do okay in wet feet, even if it's like in a slightly raised mound. But I think I've about covered my ideas so far, and I'm sure things will change before you know, the plan comes to action, if it does. There is a lot of materials here, like plants and like tree trunks, trees that fell, and all kinds of stuff that I have no idea how I'm going to clean up and, you know, make it work for us. But this is definitely a start. This is a plan that looks like something, and that's about it for now.